So we are talking about the images within AXUS and how to incorporate using tools like Canva to create some really great images for your clients' itineraries. So I am inside a trip right now in the booking section. I've got, my title box at the top, and then I have my different bookings below. And if I'm going to add one great picture, it's going to be my Montana trip, the cover photo of that. So where I would add that, if you probably already know this, but if you don't, to the right of the return date, I'm going to click that little gear icon, and I have 4 different ways to add an image. I can upload from my computer, use an image URL using Google Images, search image library. We're connected to 2 libraries that um, are not owned by us, but we're free to use. So it's Unsplash or Pixabay. And then our newer internal image gallery has been out for maybe even 2 months or more. I don't remember exactly when it came out, but that's been a great tool to have. So you no longer have to, if you have a picture that you want, uh, you no longer have to have it attached to a booking. You can just save the picture by itself. So that would require you to first go to the image library, upload that, sorry, the library side, and go to that certain area and upload a picture, adding in some keywords that'll be helpful. And then you can choose from that internal image gallery on the builder side. So for today's purpose, I want to upload an image. So I picked the first one, and I would just search for items in my computer files here, just to kind of show you if I were to just add an image like Glacier National Park. I've added the image, and then I just found it on Unsplash, and I'll kind of show you about that. I'll show you more about that. And then I'm just going to simply upload. And then, of course, it's always good to go to my web view to just see visually how it looks. It does look a little pixelated, but maybe that's also kind of the effect of it. I do have it kind of stretched out here. But I can't see all of it, right? And our qualifications, it works for me to do like a 750 by 300 and pixels. But what if I wanted to see more of the image? What if I wanted to use a vertical image, right? So if I were to go back here, let's say I will add a second image by clicking the uh, button below. I'll do the same thing, go to an image that was uploaded before. This is also in Montana, and this happens to be a vertical image, which when I try to add it, I'm going to go ahead and save. I'll go to my other tab and I'll reload the page because I've added an image. And you'll see how it really doesn't work, right? It just shows me the top of the trees. It's hard to know what that even is. So that's where, in general, I would refrain from adding images like that. Um, even if you try to add like a certain part of it, like think about images like a giraffe, right? Where obviously, unless it's kind of a horizon picture, they'll it probably will be vertical. So just kind of keep that in mind when choosing photos. So while you can try to choose the best part of it, it is helpful to use tools like Canva where you can kind of work within the boundary. So first of all, I'm going to go to where I found pictures. So unsplash.com, and then I just search for Montana. And then after that, I want to make sure to only add images that are free to use. And so it kind of limits it a little, but I also have ones to look at. I will also say, obviously, if you're wanting to be pretty accurate, when you click on this image, it happens to be Italy. So not very helpful if you are trying to have pictures from Montana. Similarly, this one it looks like it's in New Zealand, Mount Cook. So again, not very helpful. This one, however, is in Montana. So what I would have done, well, actually what I did was I just went to the download and I actually chose the smallest file and I just saved it to my computer somewhere where it is easy to find. So I grabbed different images and just kind of showing you the source there. And then I go to Canva, file, you create a new design. I want it to be 750 by 300 pixels. So it ends up being, um, you know, that's the framework I'm working with. And then from there, I would upload my images, which I think you saw how to upload like from um, Unsplash. Then upload my files, I added them, and then I was working in the text. And I'll just go ahead and just stay right here. Okay, so I'm sharing this area. Okay, so I picked this layout. It was kind of fun. And then I can duplicate the page and then ungroup it so I can move the items. So move this up a little bit. And then I call it Montana. Vacation, or if I had, this is where I would have, if it was more of a template or like a itinerary proposal, it could be visit Montana. So point being, you can move it around. And then with my images, I'm gonna just get rid of this. I was showing how you could just simply have an image on its own. So you can do this. Trying to find the middle there. It's not popping up for me. But I guess you can kind of eye it. And then, yeah, wonder why it's not showing. I think you can sometimes add rulers. Let's see. There's only so much you can do with the free version, is what I'm using. Okay. And then I can just duplicate the page again. I can add a second image. I could kind of do a side by side, although they're quite big. So kind of whatever works for you, kind of to make it kind of even. There we go. Whatever looks best visually for you. Like, we could do all that. Then you can incorporate the image with the text. And so what I was doing was I had the image, and I went to transparency, and then I was able to bring that down and then actually make it quite large so that it would fit within the whole boundary that I have, and then just adjust it. If it looks too pixelated, maybe don't do that. But if it looks pretty good, I'm going to adjust it a little bit again. So there's a lot of things you can do to kind of play around with it. A lot of things you can do that are still on the free side. So that's cool. Like I'm just using a free account. Oh, and then the other thing I was going to show you was how I can just take the text and just put it on the side. Oops. Which I kind of like. Again, maybe give it some white space and then I'll let that be there. Make it bigger if needed. So I kind of like that. Can even, again, as long as it doesn't get too pixelated, I can try to use the full image there. So much you can do with Canva, whether it's having an image by itself. Obviously, you could use more of the vertical when you know your boundary. The other option was to take this and then I can add a third image. So there's a lot you can do. And I could just bring this to the front. So layer, send, oh, that's send to back. I'll do send this one to back. Right click. Where's the layer? Layer, send to back. So that this kind of goes before them. So if it's too busy, you can definitely, maybe that's like way too busy. But play around with it, see what you like. But I'm going to go ahead and I like this one and I like this one. So I'll go ahead and download this. So I hit share, download. And then I just want this image. So that's the only one selected. So it's saved to my computer, and then I'm going to share the screen again in a bit of the AXUS platform. All right, so now I'm in AXUS, and I'm going to go to the right of August 11, and I'm actually just going to hit change image, and I'm going to upload image that's on my computer. And save. And now go to the web view, and now I've got a fun cover image. And you don't always want to be super redundant. Like if you call it Montana vacation, and then you have a Montana vacation here. And sometimes where it might be helpful just to have um, the images itself. But yeah, it's kind of fun to incorporate text with pictures. All right. So that is a great resource to use. Definitely, if you haven't already, definitely set up like a free account in Canva and add some of your favorite images. There was one I did years ago um, as an itinerary template, and I like it. Maybe it's too busy, but um, so it's a Paris one that I thought was just kind of fun to put all together. So you could really maybe start with your library and, get some of your popular countries and then create like maybe 5 proposals highlighting those countries for your clients using Canva. All right. Well, glad you finally were able to see what I was doing. I apologize for that. Um, and let's take a look at any questions that were submitted ahead of time, and then any questions um, that you have on our call today. Okay. All right. Would like to know more about copying for group bookings. So when it comes to group bookings, I have a whole resource on that. Um, so if I just search group for group travel, I definitely would pick like a leader guide itinerary, a guide that applies with information that applies to everybody. Maybe everybody's staying at the same hotel, they're all doing the same activities, but perhaps um, they're eating at different restaurants. They have a couple things that are different flights. So it doesn't make sense to have them all on the same itinerary. So if that's the case, and I'm going to put this in the chat. Let's see here. Then I would just have that leader guide. And then from there, you can copy itineraries, and those copies can go to the clients. Um, so you're not having to massively duplicate your work. I would definitely put the clients' names in the title so you can kind of distinguish um, from who's who. And then definitely utilize our copy resource, how to copy bookings into a new or existing itinerary. Um, so I will add that. Second here. So definitely utilize, let me go back to, definitely utilize our copy itinerary tool, and definitely have like a leader guide when it comes to um, adding things that are relevant for everybody and then breaking off into what is pertinent for certain parties. Okay. All right. What else here? It says how attached. I think the question is, I think trying to attach bookings to documents. I think that's the question. And so with that, I'm going to do documents. So basically linking documents at the booking level. So we've got a video here, but basically, so I'm going to put that in the chat as well. So if I have an itinerary, like let's go to my Montana one. And I'm going to add some documents. So I'm actually going to add from my library. I would only save to your library if it applies to several trips, like maybe company information or a packing list. I wouldn't I wouldn't upload documents like air or hotel, because that only applies to, a certain person for a certain trip. All right, so I'm going to click add. And the key to linking documents is I want to make sure that, of course, I've uploaded the documents. If I go to booking, my bookings are here. I'm going back to documents and I want to click link booking. And I need to allow this pop up to show, to load rather. If I'm not getting it time to load, um, and I try to click too fast, something might happen. And so I just need to first let it load again, especially if you have a really long itinerary and you're trying to get all that content on the screen. So I'm just going to go ahead and link it to my hotel, link booking, and it brings me to my bookings page. I go and click on my booking and I see that my document is attached. I'm going to go back and share this screen. Let's see. So that is attached here. And then I'm going to do the same, go back to documents, go to the second one, click link booking, let it load. And then I will link this to my second hotel, link booking, and it brings me back to my bookings page. And I can click on the second hotel and it shows up here. And then I can also go to web view. Remember that if you have had this web view open for a while and you've made like 3 more changes, make sure to always refresh the page or reload the page. So I'm going to go over to documents and I can click on each one to kind of preview them. Click on it to preview, that sort of thing. And I've got that little indicator that that's how many documents that I have. So that involves linking. And if I scroll down here, again, I see those items here as well. So I've got documents in multiple places. So that is helpful. I'm going to close some tabs here. Bear with me. Okay. All right. Let me look at more questions. All right, it says the easiest way to incorporate a non-signature vendor into an itinerary with a preferred signature vendor. So if I'm adding like a tour versus adding a tour that's connected to a consortia versus not. I mean, the easiest way probably without fail is just simply a copy paste. If you're adding in, let me share my screen. It looks like I'm sharing that. So when I go to add a property, like this is a property, obviously this is not an activity. So if I just to go into pre-travel, go to hotel, let's say Four Seasons, Austin. So that's Virtuoso. So bring that in. It's going to show that consortia's policy templates that I can click and add to Virtuoso amenities if those were available. My account here my example account happens to not be a signature one that I'm in right now. I think I need more specifics on that questions but I guess a simple thing would be copy and paste. And I just need to look at the vendor, what exactly was needed to bring that info in, like what that exact vendor was and how we could take a look at that. Question, how do you remove multiple names? I don't know if that's in relation to if you go to travelers in the top menu and you see that that person has like 2 or 3 profiles when ideally they just need one. I picked the one that they use, so it usually has a little mobile phone next to it. And if I open it up, the registered device is an iOS. Otherwise, it would say Android. And so I would use that one. Then I would basically go to this one up here and I would select view itineraries and then just go back to any past trips that that profile was attached to. Apply filter. And then I would go and add the profile I want, Emily Astrick, and I would add that profile to those trips, to those past trips. And then I would delete the extra profile. It depends how you're bringing the info over. If you are adding it from scratch and you maybe forgot, because the first time you go to add a traveler, you add it, you go to assign, sorry, you go to create, you add them, and then later you go back to assign to find their existing one. Sometimes people use client base and it's trying to match what's exactly coming over. So you've got a name and then you've got a name with a middle name. Um, or like these two have different email addresses for this example. But once I'm kind of done and have everything attached to this profile, I'd go to the three dots and just hit delete. And then just for anything, like as you are, using AXUS and becoming more familiarized with it, it never hurts to, you know, to have a refresher. And let me go to, I'll go to our live and recorded training webinar sessions. Um, we've got our new user, our basics, advanced trainings page. So you can click on this one. Um, let's see. And then again, if you need a refresher just from the basics, we've got the new user webinar, clients based basics webinar. So I'll just link to this whole page itself. And then just to kind of watch a quick video, you can always go to New Here AXUS 101 Tips. Our site tour and our simple itinerary build are also helpful. So I've added that as well. All right, let me take a look at any other questions that were submitted today. All right, Linda, your question, can you please show how to copy the itinerary from multiple clients on the same cruise? Tried to copy, pulled the cabin info. So yes, I can definitely look at the cruise thing. And so sorry about you could not see my screen earlier. That makes me so sad. Hopefully, this part helps. Okay, so with cruises are kind of fickle because I like to think of cruises like an accordion where it's all connected. So like if I were to go, let's say this cruise here, if I click on it, I have the name. I don't put the cabin info in here yet. And then I've got all my info. If I want to do this for like 10 other people, I don't want to put in the cabin info to begin with at all, right? Because you don't want to send that information to everybody else. So what I would do, I would kind of call this my leader guide. And then I would go to copy itinerary and I would copy all. And then if my trip already exists for my client, I would do copy to existing and then find their name in the drop down and add it that way. If they're brand new, copy to new itinerary, give it a title if that needs to change. I'd put, especially if you're dealing with a lot of groups, I would put their name in that box and then create that new trip. So yeah, I definitely would in my leader guide for them, I would not include the cabin information when you're about to share it with a bunch of people. So definitely do that. Um, so if you in your original question, sorry, I didn't see anything about client base. Um, but you do say it is client base. If that's the case, it is kind of an extra thing going on there. It is a little extra, it's extra tricky. So basically with client base, right, it's already created the framework. Yeah, so it's already created the itinerary basically, right? And then it's brought in the info, but the day-to-day port info is missing. Um, that's where it is a little tricky because you could almost copy the cruise again, like if it didn't bring you much, right? And then I don't know what if you're with I know if you're with Signature, they have an offer ID, so you can put that in and that helps with port information, but not everybody's works that way, so that's okay. Um, you could always just kind of add in that cruise or like where this stays, and you kind of have to play around with it to see what it looks like on WebView, but you could leave the information in cabin and then delete everything else so you have the cabin info. I don't know exactly. It might look a little funky, and we want to make sure it looks good. And then you could kind of just copy the full cruise into everybody's. It just makes it a little tricky because you're dealing with client base and bringing that info in. So, yeah, if you want to kind of talk more about it, if you want to just, you're welcome to unmute yourself. And if you have more about that, let's see if I were to copy this cruise. Oh, my dates are all messed up. That's why. All right, I'm going to start over. It's because it already took place. So let's pretend it's in 2027. Um, wait, no, it's messing that up. Let me find a different one that's in the future. Let's see. Um, okay, let's say this is my cruise. And I'm going to make a copy of it. Actually, I'm going to open a new tab. Do 9 to 30. Do 9 to 30. Oops. So I'm going to copy it to an existing. I think it's just called cruise, which might not have been helpful. Okay, I'm gonna refresh this page a second. I'm going to copy the itinerary, copy to existing, cruise, I-10. There it is. All right, so now I'm in cruise I-10, and let's say this is what came over from CB. Just, yeah, playing around with it. And let's say so if I were to just do a multi-delete, and and at the end of it, it just might be too much work. I'm gonna delete everything except for embark, disembark, and the sailing name, and do a multi-delete. And then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna remove everything from embark and disembark. I have a point here. Embark. So it just says sailing. And I almost want to just see if I just remove that as well. So the data I really have in here, which it's kind of freaky right now because all I have is this blank line. But if I click edit, I've got my cabin information in here, which is what I wanted, right? Which was technically what would have come over from CB. So if I were to just see what it looks like, I do have my cabin info, which would keep that, which would be really good. And it's on the correct day. And then now I'm going to go to that other itinerary that I had. And I would, what's it, June 9? And let's pretend this is my leader guide, right? And I would go in here, copy itinerary, copy all, copy to existing. And I'd go to this would technically be my client base itinerary. So I'm copying that group cruise in there. So now I have the sailing. So let's just see if this looks crazy or not. Embark, disembark. So remember that blank booking. If I need to get into it, I just got to go to the three dots and hit edit. So let's see visually what it looks like, if it's ridiculous or not. Go to web view, share this instead. So actually it works. So I've got the sailing, number of nights info on there, my cabin info, which came from that other cruise, right? And then I have everything else. So it is possible. I would just first go to my shell of my client base itinerary, remove everything except for cabin stuff. And then so it just looks like this. So you do a multi-delete of all the bookings, leave embark and disembark, and then go into embark and disembark and just remove everything from that day. So you basically are leaving an open shell except for this info. So really you're dealing with possibly 6 lines that you could probably easily do a copy and paste into that group. But if you want to keep it there, so Yeah, Linda, if you wanna hop on a call sometime and we can take a closer look, when you do have a microphone, we can kinda maybe do a screen share and kinda take a look, and kinda zero in on that. Um, okay, yeah. Yeah, no, great, question. Anything else? Anything else I can help you guys with? Any other questions you have? If you guys can think of anything, please feel free to email me support@accesstravelapp.com. That's support@accesstravelapp.com. Let me put that in the chat. Again, sorry that you could not see my screen for part of that. Hopefully, when I redid it again, you were able to kind of understand what I was saying, which was, yeah. So I'm glad I was able to see it at some point. So thank you all for your time. Have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are, and hopefully see you on our next training. Thanks again. Thanks, Ashton.